Hi everyone, happy Monday. Now, January the 20th has been coined Blue Monday, and this was a term that was coined by a psychologist in around about 2004, helpfully or unhelpfully. But what it does is highlight that this is a time of the month at the beginning of the new year where people may be starting to feel a bit lower. So the initial kind of goal setting, the initial motivation to make changes this year may have diminished slightly. People may be impacted by things like the weather or finances. So really, this is a time that can be make or break in terms of us moving towards our goals, and also thinking about how we might feel and how we might approach this year. But just because today is coined Blue Monday doesn't mean that it has to be blue. So remember, there is a link between the way that we think, the way that we feel, and the way that we approach life, so our behavior. So you can make a conscious effort to choose to think more positively. So that's up to you. So what I'd suggest is paying attention to any negative thinking patterns that might be creeping in and thinking about some thought challenging. So how can you challenge negative thoughts and make them more balanced, and make them work for you more than, sending you into a negative spiral. So be really aware of how you're thinking. Secondly, if you are working towards some goals and your motivation may have shifted, start by trying to break down some of your larger goals into smaller goals. So the small steps are the steps that add up to make the big change. So sometimes we can become very overwhelmed with trying to get to a larger goal, and we don't really realize that we need to take smaller steps to get there. So look at your goals again, reevaluate them, and link them back to your why. So why do you want to make these changes? How will it make you feel? What's your motivation for making these changes? And how are these changes more in line with the values of how you want to live your life? So for example, if I wanted to really think about changing jobs and that was my overall goal, I might take some smaller steps towards achieving that, such as revamping my CV, applying for a job, going for an interview, and so forth. But really what I want to do is think about how that overall goal links in with how I'm going to feel when I get there, but also my values. So is it about seeking more passion in my life, doing something that I think is important, giving back to the community, feeling inspired every day? So think about your values and then find ways that you can live in accordance with your values. So rather than having specific goals, what you could do is think about values-based goals. And then you can think about, when you're approaching something, is this in line with my values? Is it in line with me as a person? And is it in line with how I want to live my life? Also, remember that self-care is really important. So it can be a challenging time of year for various reasons, for various people. So think about what self-care options you can put into place for yourself. Now, self-care is not selfish. It's around showing yourself that you're worthy, you're worth investing in. And actually, this is really good for our motivation and levels of self-worth and self-esteem. So do something positive to take care of yourself today. And it doesn't have to be a massive thing. It can even be 5 minutes out of the working day, just to sit and breathe. So breathing is really important to help regulate your emotions and manage stress. So even if you take a couple of minutes just to breathe today, that's really, really important. So do something that, helps you to take care of yourself. So be more mindful today, approach the day in a more positive way, reevaluate, use it as a way to realign and figure out if this is still something you want to work towards in terms of your goals. And just take this day to kind of look after yourself. Do one good thing for yourself today if you can, and hopefully you won't feel so blue. I am going to be talking to Steve at Uxbridge FM today. We're going to be talking about this topic of Blue Monday. We'll be talking about self-care. We'll be talking about motivation. So do feel free to tune in and have a listen. If you can't listen live, that's completely fine. There'll be a link that I'll put in the blurb below where you can access a part of the interview via the website. But I hope you have a motivating, magical Monday.